Well, on to Tom. Tom was born in Idaho Falls, and or 9 of the children, the only ones that weren't born in Idaho Falls were John and Tonga and Emily when we were living in Hawaii. She was actually born in Renton, Washington, but it was on our way back to Hawaii. So Tom was, but all of those 9 were delivered by the same doctor, Dr. Levitt, in the same room at the same hospital, the old LDS hospital, which has been torn down now. But Tom was the first one. They changed their policy and allowed the husband to be in the delivery room at the time. All the others, they wouldn't. But Tom, and they didn't on the last 2 either. I don't know, on Jenny and Vicky, and of course, obviously not on Emily. But anyway, I just remember of having the feeling that it was going to be a boy. I don't know why, but we didn't have those ultrasounds and things back then, and it was. And I just sort of had the feeling a second child of promise, and always felt that way about Tom, that he really is a child of promise with unlimited potential. And always, I don't remember Gene will have to give some of the smaller things, but I remember right here in Manifold when we got the first Atari. And Tom wasn't really very old. He was maybe 8 or so. But I remember how all of us tried to figure out. They had these Olympic games where you push the things real fast and they'd go, and then you'd vault over the thing, and most of the time you'd hit the bar and so forth. And I remember just being absolutely amazed at how quickly Tom became so very adept. He would beat all of us, no matter how much we practiced. He just seemed to have that ability to do it. And I remember even in Hawaii of how he would climb the coconut trees and climb the wall. There was a frame like this. There wasn't a door in it, but just a frame. And he literally would go up, climb across, and go down.
You probably remember that, Jane.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, he was quite famous for that. I remember of having such a distinct feeling when Tom was just little, and we were still in Idaho. And when I would be changing him or dressing him on that, in the nursery room there, that nice counter that we had, and he would just grab anything that was handy and just run it along the counter and pretend it was a train or a truck or a car or something, and just the difference between a girl and a boy, just from early on, it's so noticeable that was quite a revelation to me, how they just come with their special traits, and there's really a difference between girls and boys from the start.
And when you mentioned about keeping, like running tracks, I remember Aunt Dion, the kids used to go stay with her. I remember of her telling me one time, I really like it when Tom comes because he takes all the rocks off of the path.
I'm going to tell
Okay,
that.
you go ahead.
It was
You go
not
ahead.
at Aunt Dion's house. It was when Aunt Dion came to our house,
okay.
the Iwi house.
Okay,
That was my next
I
one.
don't. Okay, go ahead. You go ahead.
So it was when we were living in the Iwi house, the first little home that we had there in Hawaii for the first 6 months.
I was going to say, I couldn't remember how long we were there.
Yeah, 6 months.
Okay.
And we gave each of the kids different assignments. Well, Tom's assigned chore around the place was to keep the front walk clean. And the walkway was made up of stepping stones placed in kind of a little gravel thing of rocks. Well, these little rocks were constantly getting on the stepping stones. And particularly, Tom seemed to enjoy being the one that would scatter the pebbles all over. And so that was his assignment, was to keep the stepping stones, because I told him, you know, people come barefoot a lot, and if they step on one of those little rocks on the hard stepping stone, it really hurts. So you're in charge of keeping those cleared off of the stones. Well, one day Aunt Dion came to visit with Uncle Walt, and they came walking up, and Tom was out doing his chore of cleaning off the stepping stones. And he was down on his hands and knees and picking them off one pebble at a time. And Dion said, "Oh, Tom, you are surely doing a good job of cleaning those stones." And his answer was, with a very serious tone, "And you know, it's an all-day job."
Tom was just always running, it seems like, and always, I remember it wasn't just Tom, but when they would go to school, he'd say, "No, you can't go barefoot, you've got to wear your shoes, or at least the thongs." And nearly always, as soon as they would get out of sight, they would take their shoes off and hide them in the hedge or something like that.
On Veterans Day of 1977, that's the 11th of November, and that was again in Hawaii. I was talking with some of the children about Veterans Day, and did they know what a veteran is? And Tom piped up and he said, "I do. It's a soldier who graduated." That was pretty
Yeah.
good.
Tom was always so thin and wiry and just kind of like a bundle of energy.
Yeah, he had a lot of energy.
Okay,
Stop it for just a minute. Cough.
Okay, let me stop.